Spendophobia. If you are suffering, we've got 7 steps to help you get over that fear. I'm Heather Branch. This is certified financial planner Mike Douglas, a.k.a. Michigan's retirement coach. Michigan'sRetirementCoach.com is our website where you can go to connect with Mike and his team. We also have links posted in the show notes because this problem is real. I feel like we've addressed this before. People have money, and yet they are not spending it, and it's understandable why.
Well, it's kind of funny. It ends up being like the core issue under a lot of other issues. Right. Well, people are afraid of inflation. People are afraid of raising costs and all these things. And then you kind of all boil it back like there's a symptom and a sickness, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of other symptoms that this rears its head through. But yeah, absolutely. This is a major issue for retirees. Yeah. And more we're just trying to help people figure it out.
Yep. Okay, so let's dive in. There was a study done recently, found almost half of American retirees suffer from Spendophobia, the fear of spending their savings, even if they have enough. What can they do about it? This is, we're gonna go a couple different directions in this. But first of all, this is retirement blogger Fitz Gilbert. He was on Morningstar talking about the issue and how he gets over it himself.
In retirement, you're finally at the stage where you're free to do these things with your life, and you don't want to be constrained by that old frugalistic mentality. So it's a big transition. I would say it probably took me about 5 years. And the hack that I use, I set up automatic paychecks, basically. It comes out of a money market fund. I set it up every year end. I go through the numbers again. I restock this cash bucket, and I just set up a paycheck based on my safe withdrawal rate. I know I'm good to spend it.
He's got a healthy perspective, Mike. We like what he's saying. He sounds very grounded and down to earth, but he also sounds like he's done the plan. It's like, did he listen to you? Because he's done the planning.
Yeah.
That he needs to have done to give himself the confidence to spend. Meantime, there was this article that I found that I knew you were going to like because they referenced the Die With Zero book, which I know you're a super fanboy of. So this article lists out 7 steps to help you get over the fear of spending in retirement, or at least just to give you spending confidence. So let's go through these and talk about the points, the ideas, what you agree with, what you want people to know about.
So there's a couple things in here. The list of 7 things is really, it's hard for me to find a list that I can get all the way on board with.
Okay.
I feel like every time we talk through a list, it's like, all right.
There's 1 or 2 where we're like, no.
2 out of 3 ain't bad, something like that. But no, this is actually a really good list. I'm very excited about it. Okay. And to the point with Fritz is that when Fritz Gilbert's talking, he's like, well, we spent all these years saving and being a saver. And so you create this habit of I'll have less now so I can have more later. Yeah. And then later shows up. And all of a sudden you have a really hard time acknowledging that now I'm going to spend now and have less later as a good idea. It's a really hard thing. And the joke that we say it a lot of times to clients is that a leopard doesn't change its spots just because it retired, right? Like a saver's a saver, a spender's a spender. And this is a really good way to work through it, to think about the decisions like Fritz did, where he set up an automatic paycheck, whether you do that from a money market, an annuity, a dividend portfolio, whatever. Just the idea is really, really good. So let's work through this list of 7 things you can do to help you transition from a saver to a spender. Okay. Number 1, create a detailed financial plan and keep it updated. Now that sounds super obvious. Like, yeah, I know I need that, but people don't do it. What they have is they have an account. And the account has no income plan, no roadmap of how to get paid the rest of their lives. It's just if the market does well, you do well. If the market does poorly, be careful when you take out money. And that's the whole plan. It's like, that is not a good financial plan. A financial plan says, here's how much I'm going to get every single month. Here's my rate of return. Here's my investments. Here's my income I get to take out, guaranteed, not guaranteed, however you set it up. The rest of my life, here's exactly my cash flow stream. Modeled, planned, good times, bad, rain or sunshine, we still get paid. We still go golfing. We still go snowboarding, whatever the thing is. And that's what Fritz Gilbert set up with his. He set up an automatic paycheck to come out. That way it wasn't a decision on how well the statement did determines how much you get for income. Nobody wants that life. So number 1, create a detailed financial plan and keep it updated.
Right.
That's another piece, right? Like it's almost like, oh, I got a will and trust. What was it, 15, 20 years ago? No, keep it updated. I have a financial plan, stay on top of it, and work with someone who can help you stay on top of it. Number 1. Number 2, remind yourself, this is a good one, that money is a tool, not a goal.
Yep.
Right? We set these mentality goals of, all right, when I get $2 million, I'll feel comfortable retiring, or 2 million,
We're
or whatever the
taught
number is.
it, Mike. I mean, there
Yeah.
was literally, I think Fidelity did an ad campaign a couple years ago where they're like, what's your number? And they did all these graphs about 1.2, 2.7, 800. That's what we're taught as a society.
Yeah. And instead of thinking of it as, it is a tool in my tool belt to build the retirement house that I want, the lifestyle that I want, the goals, the things that we do. So the goal should not be money. It should be what the money accomplishes for you. Right. So like for us, big thing is our family. We have 4 kids. And as they are growing older, we want to live a lot of experiences with them right now, but also find a way to keep them close to us as they grow older. So again, I'm
lure them in.
I'm finding the right carrot, and so our goal is to use money to maybe buy property or to, help our kids buy homes and stay close to us, and say, if you move out of state, I'm helping you with nothing or something, something like that. But the idea is being that, what does the money help us accomplish? I can stockpile it and then I die and my kids get a bunch of money, or we can live it and use it and do something together. So I'm really big on, and that was directly out of Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. Great book. I love it so much. Be aware of that. Number 3, maybe want to start small. Increase spending on a meaningful habit. What do we mean by meaningful? All right, if you want to go to the gym, you want to join a pickleball club, you want to take, every month I'm going to go out to eat with some friends twice a week, or once a week, or twice a month, or whatever the number is. Start building in that habit of spending a little bit more money. Start thinking of ways that you can enjoy life piece by piece. Because number 3 is easier than number 4.
Okay.
Number 3 is baby steps. Like, remember that movie, What About Bob? When Bill Murray had like extreme OCD and all these things, and hit baby steps towards the elevator, baby steps towards, but this number 4 is, if 3 is start with the small habits, number 4 is, maybe just jump into the deep end with a major splurge.
Yeah.
Do it. I had some clients. She stayed home, but also worked in a school district for most of their lives. He was a pilot and traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
And when they finally retired, he retired earlier than she did. But when she finally retired, he was like, listen, I've traveled the world. I'm kind of ready to relax a little bit. And she said, forget that. So right away, she retires in June. By October, they were on a trip where they flew to Seattle from Michigan. Then they took a cruise down to Hawaii, around Hawaii, ended up in Australia after 4 weeks.
Wow.
Monster cruise. Then they spent 3 weeks touring around Australia, taking cruises through the islands, doing a 7-week long trip. Incredible trip. Expensive trip.
Yeah.
He's not a spender. She is a spender.
She took care of that.
She dragged him into the deep end, and they had a big splurge, but it was so great. And it's really good because literally they took that trip, and within like 2 years, he had to have knees replaced. He had to have all these things, a lot of stuff done. So it's good to get those things out while you can.
Okay.
And enjoy the time. Number 5. So that's number 4. Number 5 is a really good one.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of an interesting take. I'm not going to try and turn it to a morbid thing, but if you do what's called a regret exercise, which I think this is great, imagine you were diagnosed with a terminal illness and think, number 1, what would I regret not spending money on? Number 2, what experiences would I wish I had prioritized? And number 3, who would I have wanted to give to while I was alive? Right. So just like, man, like one of those deathbed thought processes, gosh, I should have done this. I wish I'd done that. You can work through those things while you're healthy, while you're good, without a terminal illness prognosis. Just do a regret exercise. Man, if I don't do this, I'll be pretty bummed. All right, then go do it and find a way to put it on the calendar. I've got a friend. We have a joint friend who's climbing Kilimanjaro next year for his 50th birthday.
Yep.
And that's a different kind of crazy. And we've known that about him for a long time. But at the same time, he's going to climb Kilimanjaro, and his family's going to go. They're go do an African safari for a week or two, right? A beautiful trip. And he said, I'm turning 50 one time. Let's do it. Let's do it big. And I love that. And so do a regret exercise and make sure, man, if I don't do this, I'll be pretty bummed, and take care of that. You can start cleaning the bucket list up kind of early.
Yeah.
Number 6, understand the perils of a scarcity mindset. Let's think about that for just a second. Understand the perils of a scarcity mindset. A scarcity mindset can make you
like
focus.
The law of attraction, right? What you put out is what you get back.
Yes, exactly right. It's makes you focus on what you don't have and cloud your decision making. If you're always worried about not having enough money, you may continue to find things that could possibly go wrong in retirement.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Debbie Downer syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
It's the like the wah, wah, the Eeyore syndrome,
mm-hmm.
right? It's like, well, thanks for noticing me, right? So instead you say, I could never do that. Why? Well, and they don't really have a good answer. And I sat with someone not too long ago. We were working through her plan, and as I'm explaining it, and she's been a really saver. She's really had to survive some stuff. She was an early widow, a young widow, raised kids, comes from a family of like 10 kids. And I was like, why is saving so important to you? And she started going back to her childhood. We didn't have anything. And, dad died young and had to save and had to fight and claw. And then she gets married and finally feels like she's gonna have this life. And then her husband dies young. And then, it creates this mindset of survival, of scarcity. And to her credit, talk about strong, raised two kids by herself because he died very young.
Yeah.
She still retired at 52.
Wow.
And she's just kicking butt and taking names in life.
Love
but
it.
she really had to fight to overcome that scarcity mindset because you're raised certain ways. Some people are raised with great financial education. Some people are raised with great work ethics. Some people are raised with great understanding. Other people get the other experience.
Yep.
I was never taught that. We were always poor. And you can take it one of two ways. You can use it as fuel to change or a reason to complain. And that's it. So you can either sit in this scarcity mindset, which will then make you end up with regrets, or you can learn how to flip it and say, all right, I recognize the problem. I'm going to deal with it, address it, and get better from it. And then from there, say, all right, now that I've saved and I've accumulated, because we're talking about people in retirement who have saved and gotten to the place of living off the money, and yet they won't. We got to get past that because you have the last thing, which is number 7. When you retire, the day you retire is probably the healthiest day of the rest of your life.
Right.
And the first 10 years of retirement, we always call it the must-go years. Like when you need to do everything on your bucket list, everything that you want to accomplish to die with no regrets. First 10 years. The next 5 to 7 years are the might-go years. You're still willing, but you kind of like, well, if my kids aren't going or grandkids aren't going, maybe I won't do it. Or, and then by the time you get to 78 to 80 or 82, your desire drops dramatically. You have money, you have time, but sometimes you don't have health or you just don't have desire to go do things. And that's what we call the won't go years. So there is a spending curve, when you will and when you won't spend money. So number 7 on our list is evaluate spending curves. Okay. Understand that if I retire at 60, 62, 65, that is the most energy I'm ever going to have.
Probably.
So go do something with it. Use it. Understand that it's better to have money spent early on, and then as your desires and your will and your energy kind of comes down, that's okay. That's when my spending will come down and it'll even out my accounts. Rather than waiting down the road and you die with more money than you ever lived with. Yep. And we don't necessarily want that either. People do tend to spend the most in early retirement when they're active. As it declines in later years, that's when money's going to stockpile. Rather than worrying about running out of money, plan for kind of a gradual decline in discretionary spending and understand that you can enjoy more early on. And we call it front loading in retirement. We want to spend more while we can do more, because eventually you will save more when you won't do more. So there's this, kind of the counterbalancing. And I think if we go through these 7 things, this is a great list. It really is. Because I think it takes the whole picture in: your health, your desires, your opportunities, your regrets, everything. We still have not yet talked about rates of return. Haven't talked about taxes or estate planning, and those all matter in a good plan. But really boiling it back down to, what are we doing here? What is this about? Why did you save this money for all these years? And why are we refusing to live it out because of spendophobia? Let's overcome that. Let's get rid of that mindset, and let's build a retirement that's worth living. That's
what you and your team are here to help us do. And to go through these points, we've also joked before a lot about the idea of anybody that helps somebody with retirement planning. Yes, you might be a financial advisor by certification and graduation, but you're also a psychotherapist,
Yes.
a couples therapist. In so many ways, there's a lot of mind shift happening that has to happen for people in retirement. I mean, that's the whole point of this article, is shifting your mindset from a saver to a spender. It is a big shift.
Yeah.
It's a lot to ask of yourself. And for so many of us, asking of ourselves with really just not the education that we need going into this space. Mike and his team, they're here to help guide you through this process, because at the end of the day, the goal is that you're going to retire one time. But Mike and his team, they're retiring every single day, or helping folks do that. So they got a lot of wealth of knowledge in their pocket that they're ready to share with you. MichigansRetirementCoach.com is our website where you can go to start the conversation with Mike and his team, or click on the links we got posted in the show notes.